Okay, we'll call the order at 6 p.m. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Just to take one of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with justice.
Please, can we have roll call?
Patty Drew. Here. TJ Hecox.
Here.
Dietrich.
Here.
And Jen Solomon. Here. Mike Blomberg was not present.
He's absent. 3.0, approval or changes to the consent agenda. Is everybody good with the consent agenda? I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll motion we approve the consent agenda.
Director Dietrich approves. Motions. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Director Drew, seconds. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carries. 4.0, public comment. Do we have any public comment? What we saying? 5.0, 5.1, open the hearing for a budget hearing. Is there any public comment for the budget? Yes, we do we have to have a motion to open that?
I haven't shown you the, yeah.
I guess, yeah, I'm sorry, I'll take a motion to open the budget hearing. I'll make a motion to open the hearing.
I'll
Do you have a
second that. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any public comment for the hearing? No? Okay, I will make a motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Drew second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. 6.0 financial report. 6.1 expenditures, credit cards, checklists for May 2025. Any big surprises in there, Tammy? Status quo for,
Pretty much, let me see. In a while since I looked at it. The very top one, the $187,000 check at the very top, return of the timber revenue. That was just a county error that we had to correct. So there was money in and money out, but we just had to, yeah. And I think that was the only kind of abnormal expenditure on there. All that.
any questions? 7.0, Mr. Scott, principal report.
Yes, so we have the summer school plan. This year, we're gonna be doing a little bit differently. We're going to be running our summer reading program for the literacy program in concurrently, well, on Wednesdays with the library program. We're gonna run the reading program from 8 until 10, and then the library goes from 10 to 1 o'clock. And they'll have lunch, of course, with the library program, and have a snack for the kids when they come in. We're gonna run 2 different bus routes, one for the morning, well, one for the 8 o'clock, and then one for the 10 o'clock library. And so we'll be doing that from June 25th through August 20th. So the focus for the kindergarten through 2nd grade is going to be, of course, reading and writing skills with an agricultural theme. They're gonna have trips to the raised beds. They're gonna harvest fruits and vegetables, have a food preparation time, studying science and history about agriculture. And then 3rd through 5th grade, we're going to be, of course, doing reading and writing skills with a STEAM emphasis, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And the activities are going to be actually driven by what the kids want to learn, their research projects. So they'll be able to take an interest in something, research it, and then that will be a project that they will complete.
Is this every day or how many days a week is this?
Wednesdays,
Just on Wednesdays?
Yeah. just on Wednesday.
Do we know how many students are already currently?
We had, well, this was 2 weeks ago, we had 11 5th through, or for the upper grades. And we had a few for the K2, but I'm not sure how many came in that time. So I would say, well, we have probably 15, 20 kids, but that's pretty good for for that time.
I guess is there a threshold of if all of a sudden it drops down to 2 kids are showing up, are we continuing to do that, or is that kind of a, how do we
Yeah,
base?
I mean, my assumption is the numbers are gonna be good enough.
Good. I mean, it sounds good.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's on anything, but we also have the summer lunch program starting on the 23rd also, so that's gonna open up the doors for more kids to come in also.
Yeah.
We'll be here and go, oh, I gotta see it. So I think the numbers will actually probably increase a little bit.
So we have we're adopting the new, it's called Amplify CKLA, which just stands for Core Knowledge Language Arts. And the process that we went through, in fact, we just finished up a few details today to get it here before the end of the month so we can have it out of this year's funds to pay for the program. But the process we went through, like I told you before, we had 3 different programs that we looked at. Teachers reviewed the samples in advance. Then we had presentations by each of the vendors. And then they went for about an hour and a half each. And the Amplify was almost unanimously chosen. The teachers excited about it. And some of the reasons for adoption is that this approach for reading with the little guy starts with listening and hearing. And other approaches have, you show them the letters, they learn the letters and the sounds, but the approach that they're taking with this program is more organic. When you have a young child who's learning how to talk, you have them listen to language and they process that. And so that's kind of the same tact that Amplify takes, is that it's about learning the sounds first. So the progression is hear the sound, say the sound, read the sound, and then write the sound. And that's just the beginning of it. That's just kind of the core of it. That was one of the things that really caught my eye here with the program, that it just made sense to me that that's how we learn to speak, is by hearing. And so that's the way it starts. And there will be phonics. It's a phonics-based program. Writing is infused into every lesson. Other things the teachers liked about it is that they've got the stories and things they have. They involve music and science and history, as well as, some nonfiction or fiction stories as well. But they really liked the way that was presented, and the way actually the teachers also like the layout and progression of the lessons. So like I said, the materials have been ordered and we expedited it, so it'll be here before June 30th, so we can have that finished up. And then we also have in-service for the program. We have 2 on-site, well, it's 1 day of in-service. We have 2 reps coming out to in-service the staff. So we have K through 2, 3 through 5 on the same day. And I got confirmation of one of those today. I think the other one will be on as well, but it's on Thursday of our in-service week. And it's from 8 to 3:30. And so they'll go through the program, and the teachers, of course, will have all the material. They're not just the samples. And then after they have used the program for a while, we will have another in-service. It'll probably be over Zoom or the Google, and to have them ask questions, learn more about the program, and just become more familiar with it. But that's an ongoing thing. I think there are 3 different in-services throughout the year that we've ordered, so the teachers will be able to know the material, ask questions, those types of things.
So will they give this over the summer, where if somebody wanted to come in and look at it and get familiar with the program before school starts?
I would have no problem with that. I'm sure that it's,
Encouraged.
Yeah. Yeah. Then moving on to our end of the year celebration, that was so much fun. We had a great time with the kids. Went down to Kington in Hillsboro and got there. They had pizza for us. And then the kids were they already had their shoe sizes and everything. They got their shoes, they got over to their lanes and got to bowl for, was it an hour and a half or so. I beat Corey in bowling. I don't even know if we get it.
I didn't get a chance to get the 10th frame.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I got it. But it was so much fun. And then we had time in the arcade, which had all kinds of arcade machines and virtual reality and different things, different, skills, a skee ball, those kind of things, basketballs, football, throw. And so we got to do that. And then they took 4 different sections of kids into laser tag and just called it out. And so we had all the high school kids go, and then middle school, and then the primary. And, well, I'll let you tell them what the comment was.
Miss Alfred and myself, as we were getting wrapped up, and the kids are, they're excited. It's about an hour and a half into the arcade, and you can look at the staff, you can see on their faces, whew, a long day. But it was a great day. It was a fun day. I believe it was the general manager, though, told Shelley and myself, he said, of all the kids that we've had in districts come through this bowling alley in the last year, he said, our kids are by far the best. He said the level of respect and politeness from our student body was it was just a thing of wonder, he said. And he said, anytime we want to come back. And I will say, Mike and I talked about this also, I don't mind dangling a little carrot in front of the kids sometimes for some things, but when you sit there and you look down the whole bowling alley lane, you see the entire school, I'm talking adults and the kids, celebrating what we promised we would do. And we fulfilled as a district, and they came along. And it was exciting. You saw high school kids playing some arcade games, air hockey with some of the younger kids, and just seeing how they're being respectful of their age and how they're able to play the games, whatnot. People are just helping each other out the whole time and watching out for each other. We got in each of the buses and expressed how much we appreciated that. And to hear the kids respond, thank you, this was great. We want to do this again sometime in the future. As I'm walking off one of the buses, I said, remember, this is all because we're pushing good things here in the district. And they were just overall just a flawless day. So it was fun, a lot of fun.
And then you have my report on Swiss. I just ran off all of the report for the years on the different aspects of it. Referrals by behavior, referrals by location, time, date, of course. Do you have any questions?
I just have a comment. I went through this really with a fine-tooth comb. It was amazing, the information that you can get here, the time that these kids are bad, the time that these kids are good, the days that you can see that, oh God, there must have been something going on because this is a really bad day. It was amazing, the information. And you could see a trend exactly of what is going on, where you can focus what needs to be taken care of.
Right.
I was shocked and amazed when I really went through this and looked at the information that was here. I was just, wow. This is a
Well,
lot.
and you're absolutely right. And I can also drill down and you can get specific about one behavior
Mhm.
and how many times that happened. I mean, you can do all kinds of things. I just, of course, ran off the generic,
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. But it even gets deeper than that. So that Swiss system really helps, and it's helped our MTSS team say, okay, what are we looking at here?
Mhm.
What do we need to key in on?
Yeah, it was really an eye opener on what actually you can see what's going on. You know there's something going on, and then you can address it, and maybe you can help. Hopefully you can,
Right.
and get it taken care of. Yeah, I was very pleased with this information to see that we can actually see this and take care of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's very pleased.
Yeah, 7th graders on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
That's why I just stay in my office on those days.
And then there was one poor little kindergartner, I felt so bad for that one, but oh my
In
goodness.
July and August, you guys are doing great.
Yeah, so far, so
Just
Attendance is horrible.
It was pretty good. Like I said, I really went through it and I was amazed.
Well, And the thing I'm amazed at is our staff, how well they keep up
Yeah.
with those things. They were inputting it. And so if there's a little lowercase m, that means minor, that means staff. And if it doesn't, then it's office handled. But I mean, from when I got here in January until June, teachers were inputting those things. And then because of course I sent it to me and then I can edit it. I can find out if they decided there's going to be a detention or if I was going to have our parents were called, those types of things. So, but they just stayed on top of it and there wasn't a lag through the whole time that I was here.
See, that's nice that the teachers are actually doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean, most of the events are in the class, which makes sense. That's where the kids are all the time. But that means it's on the teacher to be doing the reporting and managing behavior and all that stuff. And so like, you've got a huge amount of buy-in from the staff. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're actually touching on some things the MTSS team just left off of, which is talking about, are all the staff doing everything? Because one of the things we also talked about with attendance is the tardies, and that was something that we're looking at towards the end of the year, and then also defining what does a tardy look like, and that's not universally defined, because some educators here will mark a tardy as soon as the bell rings and you walk in, you're late, boom, check mark. Or others, if they walk in 10, 15 seconds late, check mark, or may not even mark it at all, versus others that will. So some of the data we look at in terms of the tardies, whether or not it's fully accurate. So that's what we're going to be picking up at the beginning of the fall. We're going to work in the summer a couple times also. Start tracking, because that attendance is important, whether it's now being on campus, but now that you're on campus, so you actually in class. So that's another thing. Even with the system we have with the passes and all those things, it's when kids are transitioning between classes that all of a sudden somebody may be in the bathroom for a couple minutes or something. And so we're just monitoring those things and also making sure teachers are following suit with that. They're, record keeping here.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Maybe too much reading it, but no, it was just good information. Stuff that we hadn't seen before. Yeah.
Ready to move on? Old business, 8.1, school-based health center update.
Fourth, okay. And get my notes I took here. I met with Sherry Ford, the executive director of Columbia Health Services, and about 4 other representatives in the center, including those for the primary care in there and also the mental health. And so we sat inside the waiting room in there and had a conversation for about an hour or so. And so I'm going to read a little bit of the brief that we had, that Sherry Ford and I had come forth. So they said, first and foremost, the health center wants to make sure that whatever we do, if we do something, that is going to be fully supported by the school board. So we'll have, obviously, without full support here, it's something that needs to be needed by the community, and it must be high quality and efficient. And so we talked about not pulling the trigger, making it happen right away. Something where we can see over time that maybe we can get to a point where it might be more fruitful than we're looking at. So the current phase right now is for students and staff only. So that's for the primary care, just some general basic things that take place in there, and then also mental health, which we have twice a week here. So the next phase, so what they're proposing, if we're going to do something about opening the doors wide to the community, which is a vision I have, but way down the road, not all of a sudden in 2 months we're there. But they were thinking providing some flu shots for the community and actually announcing that event of having flu shots here in the community and sending it out only to the school newsletter. So only those families and those in the community would have access to it. And then increase awareness of the clinic, again, through advertisements, whether it's our newsletters or whether it's mailings on their own to the community, social media, whatever it may be, and then fielding questions and gathering needs data, which is something that I would put together in terms of sending out information to the families and community and asking what is it they would need if they could have access to the center. So it wouldn't fully be open at all. And I said, one of my concerns with having anybody that's not currently students and staff going into that door right there is once they're inside that door, can they have access to the school building itself? And the current answer is yes, there's a door that goes into the school building itself. And I know at some point before I came on that they had switched knobs. I don't remember how that all worked on the doors between the inside door and this outside door. And I said, for me, I like to have some sort of key card reader to get access from the building into the actual school-based health center. So if anybody enters into the school-based health center, it's locked and cannot get into the school. So that was the number one thing I said right off the bat. If we're gonna open anything up to the community, that shuts off the access from the school-based health center into the district. And so if flu shots were to take place, that's one of the things that would have to take place before that ever began. So I'm just throwing it out there. So before I go any further, that would just be for the fall of 2025. I mean, try to get something embedded somewhere in the fall. There's no rush, but so that would be phase one. Getting locks on that thing. I mean, it's already locked, but getting a key card, so nobody can have a key other than those that have the key card here. And then January 2026, so halfway through the school year through June, they're proposing mobile health events hosted by the clinic with mobile partners on site for vision, dental, and cancer screenings. So they would bring a trailer out here and park it off in some other area in the parking lot here and have something again only for our community to come out and take part in if we want to advertise that.
So they would be in the mobile unit only and not in the school?
That's how I'm reading when they're talking about mobile health events, yeah.
Okay.
But again, if I can have further conversations if it's beyond that. My understanding through our conversations, yes, they would bring a clinic out here to have a mobile, like a van type situation.
Well, like the blood mobiles.
And then
Like they do the same for, their flu shots stuff, do a mobile clinic.
I don't see why I couldn't.
I mean, if
When they say flu shots events for the community, we didn't go down that road. I didn't even think about that. It was a conversation before the mobile health events, but I can't see why I couldn't do the flu shots in a mobile setting as well. Because a lot of school districts that have a school-based health center, it's removed from the building. I know that's probably envision a school-based health center. So that would be the idea of what that would look like for a community for the interim portion before they transition it into the building. But again, it depends. I don't know for the flu shot one. I'll ask that specific question if that's something we want to do, if they need access to that building. And then for fall 2026, so a year from this upcoming fall, based on what we've learned through prior phases, and that includes reaching out to the community and asking about the needs of the community. It'd be time to dig into the expansion to adults in the community for primary care, she says with limits, discussing summer hours, current demand, critical communication needs, lack of pharmaceuticals on site, and those kind of things. But again, that's all outreach to our community, which is, that's a long process. And so that is a phase approach that they said they would be open with, but I said I would bring it to the board to see how you felt about that aspect of it.
I think it's a work in progress. Start slow, see how it goes. If it doesn't work, then cut it off. If it seems to be working fine, exceptional, then maybe increase and see how that works. But I just start very slow and see how it works.
I think if we're not comfortable bringing people in the community for flu shots, I know we do. I think we do some things. I'm not sure with like the blood drive and whatnot. Do we not bring community members in for that as well?
We do.
I thought we did. This would, in my mind, be the same thing. But if we're not ready for that stage, at the very least, if we're interested, I can reach out to our community, get some input from them about what their needs and wants. And if we were to do these type of things, would you be interested? Like I said, I'm not trying to push you too fast at all. I just want to make sure if this is the time to start researching and investigating, am I allowed to do so?
Well, I would agree with moving forward. We've been to at least this type of a start. I mean, we've been talking about this for at least 3 years now. So it's, I mean, I do agree, start off slow
Just
and then
baby
start
steps.
open the door to wide open to, I mean, I usually in the past, at least Clatsop County did the mobile flu shots out here too. So I think if it's an issue with the flu shots and the big thing, then we could always do a mobile one, but I would think blood draw and, like you said, that's already happening. So
And it would be hosted by Columbia County, the health services there. So I think the idea of having a mobile unit was the statement. I think that if you're comfortable doing this, at some point, it would just be inside the building there. I think that's the statement that they're being making.
Well, I think definitely the key card has got to be #1 priority.
Yeah, and that's why he says, can we even get security improvement on the interior door that quickly? And I don't have the answer yet, but
there's probably portable partition walls or something we can do to kind of help.
They make doorknobs.
Or door knob.
oh, they do, yeah. I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, you have to go in there and it would just be simply a key card to get in. And I think I'm not sure exactly. I think the lock would be fine on the outside, or maybe it's a key card also from both
It'll
sides.
be a key and a, like,
Sounds like it's a pretty positive consensus to move forward.
So, and just so I'm clear, I want to make sure. So I'll work on getting some communication out to the community about needs and wants and whatnot. Take a look at the door and see what it might cost first and foremost, in the time frame for that. And once I have that information, and what I'll do is I'll send the board, I'll send you a kind of my draft thoughts of what it looks like for messaging out the community in some sort of response form. And then do you want me to wait to get responses back to the community before I start talking to the center about bringing on maybe a mobile flu shot event, or?
Well, yeah, because if nobody's interested.
Why
why
go
we doing-
through all the hoops if
Yeah.
nobody's interested
Yeah.
at that point?
I'd
So,
like
yeah,
to see what kind of,
And part of my thought process, if nobody responds to them, I mean, I'm trying to think about the messaging we have. I mean, it's a district, we've talked about this a number of times. We have our social media and we have our, I can't think here, newsletter, excuse me. And then we have our website, we have a regular mail also. And so sometimes, we're still getting through some of those moments of, we're not the best at getting our information out there. We're trying to continue to improve that. But I keep thinking like our award ceremony for elementary program, they just came out in droves for that. And I talked to Christy, our secretary, and said, did they all knew about it? She said, yeah, they did know about it, but there's other events we do the exact same marketing and nobody shows up. Bridges and Beyond, for example, that aspect of it, or some of our open house events here. And so I said, I don't know, for me, it's if the community really is interested, they're gonna show up.
Mhm.
They're gonna show up if we get the message out there. So I will send out a couple, I'll try a couple times this summer, get some messaging out there. I'll just tell Sherry whether it happens this fall or not. We're just.
well, we can always try once, and if nobody shows up, we won't do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, why spin our wheels if nobody's gonna show up? But if we
Yeah.
advertise it and really get it going, see what kind of response we get for the first time.
You might have to feed them, those hot dogs or something.
Cookies and
Some
juice.
pizza, microphones, photons.
And again, I don't know the line between the two. I mean, my thought process is it's on our campus. This is my opinion. It's a benefit for our districts and kids in here. Can I put an advertisement for a little one pager in our newsletter or something that sends it out there so families know where it's at? Is that something that I'm allowed to do?
I would think so.
And we do our engagement nights and they're there as a booth for advertising and right there for everybody.
I can't see why we couldn't.
So my mind, I don't see a line there, but I'm just not thinking of something.
I don't know why other newsletters in the community couldn't advertise it as well. If the
Mhm.
fire was putting out something to
Right.
put it in there timing wise.
Oh, boy, that'd be very helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure we would do that.
Okay, I didn't
Or you
think
could just
about
put it up on the fire website too.
Sure.
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that because the community outreach aspect, we all work together. That makes it a little easier to get the verbiage out there. Okay. Okay, so I got what I need from that one. Thank you, guys.
Okay, 8.2, property management.
Okay. So this is the North Coast Property Management, the one that we talked about at the last board meeting, that was the only one that sent out a informational packet here. And so if you have questions, please just let me know, interrupt me however you want to here, because I have quite a bit of information I want to share. So, and if I'm incoherent on some of these, let me know, because it's a lot of information and I can ramble on some of this information here. So it's a one-time setup fee for an account of $500, and that's just to get our district embedded with the organization. That's an online account, as well as informational sheet working with our maintenance and administration and the business office. And everything would still be around through our business office here. So it's $500. That's only one time. And then a 10% monthly income they would take out of each of the houses. So, for example, the superintendent / administration house would be 10% of the monthly rent that they would get. It's $121. 4plex and 3 houses combined, that's 7. I have the right numbers here. I do. So 7 houses total. 10% would come to $423.50. That's again 10%. I'm talking about the district have to pay out to the organization, And then it's known as the Miller House. Jessica Miller used to live in that house. And it's a little bit cheaper, and I'm not exactly sure why, but historically, is it not? Okay, well, then I'll round it up. Because something changed in the last couple of years and since I've been doing it. So it's about $65 more. So my number is going to be slightly off here, but a total month is going to be just a piece over $600 a month. And for a year, we're going to talk about, again, I may be off now since a few dollars there, but we're talking about $7,200, $7,300 a year. And that's to bring in this property management organization. And on top of that, they also do property inspections 2 times a year at $150 for each home. So that's 18 inspections in the year. And at $150, that's $2,700. And so total yearly expense, again, since my math is wrong with that one house, it's going to be just shy of $10,000 a year to be paying for this property management company to come
Do
through.
we have to do the 2 a year, or could we do just 1 a year if it turns out good?
They do 2.
They do
Yeah,
2,
don't-
so that's
there's no
part of
other
it,
room. They only
okay.
do 2. Only do 2. There's a one-time leasing fee of 50% of the monthly rental rate, 50% of the monthly rental rate charged upon any new tenants. So current tenants right now, there would be no fee, but when we have an opening and somebody moves in, they would charge 50% of 1 month's rent of pay.
And that goes forever until that person moves
Correct.
out or.
Until somebody else comes in. And then maintenance and repairs, it's $95 for the first hour, $75 for each additional hour, which I did ask about. So maintenance and repair, all tenants submit a work order. So no longer would they submit anything through the district. That's again, partially why this would be put into place, is it keeps the district clean in the initial standpoint. So all tenants submit a work order through the property management company's online portal. That's part of that online onboarding fee. And then they walk the individuals through whatever they think they can on their end. And if they can't do that, then they will come out to the district, and it depends on the district's conversation with the property management, but there's a specific dollar amount that we feel like we need them to talk to us about before they go for it. Then they reach out to us and say, do you guys want to take care of that, or do you want our vendors to take care of that aspect of it? But there's also other components in where, I'm uncovering a lot. There's an absolute lot of material here. And I just know nobody's gone through this over the years. And I'll talk about the license agreements here in just a moment. But they're talking about for repairs and maintenance. So let's say somebody flushes something down the toilet that they shouldn't be flushing down the toilet. Is that an expense? If there's an issue, is that an expense of the district now, or is that an expense of the tenant who should not have been flushing things down the toilet that they shouldn't be flushing? And the property management, that's not the district's responsibility. That is the tenant's responsibility to cover that. That's no different than any other place when you're doing something. So if it's a tenant issue, they need to repair that. And I've seen a few things over the last 2.5, 3 years that I've done this job, of things that the district covers it, but in reality, the contracts they don't specify very clearly. So the protection for our contracts definitely can be beefed up here. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that one. And if we have vendors that we have that are licensed and bonded, that needs to be, and we don't need to, but we can share it with them. And if we want them to use those people, they can use those individuals to call before they call their own. So I'm going to go back to my numbers again here. So we also talked about the last board meeting, in order to cover the costs of this, do we need to increase the rent of the units as well? So I did some work on that as well. Okay, so property rent increased to help offset some costs. So I'm writing here 10% of the market rent value. So I need to check with legal on, can we do that? And so our legal work here says that the maximum allowable rent increase is 10%, which we've talked about that before briefly, but the statute does not say whether the increased limit is based off of the current monthly rental rate or market rental rate. So I'm going to contact the Oregon Office of Economic Analysis, and I'm going to ask them to confirm that information for me. So I put both scenarios down. Again, my number is going to be slightly off, again, with one house, so just keep that in mind. So if we only increase the 10% for the amount that the houses are currently charged, then we would see an increase in the housing rental income of $6,461.40. Again, the numbers are going to be off a little bit. And this would put the cost of the property management company, so I'll go back to that in a moment. The rental income for us would be $6,461.40. So I just want to get that out there. And remember, and that's for the year. And the total expense is roughly $10,000. So I'm gonna say we're roughly 3,500, 4,000 away from that. Now, if we go with the average rent in the market rent value, which is where I'm gonna reach out to here, on average, at least what research shows me, Oregon, 1 bedroom is $977 a month, 2 bedroom is $1,219, and a 3 bedroom is $1,447. So approximately 10% rent increase based off of those numbers. A 1 bedroom would be a $97 increase, $111 increase for 2 bedroom home, and $145 for a 3 bedroom home. So again, I did the numbers. Total yearly rental income with the admin house, the fourplex, and the other houses would be $12,396. And so I said, if we went with the 10% market rental value, then we would actually see an increase out of that, because again, the cost would be roughly $10,000 to bring on this company. And with that increase, it would be almost $12,500. So it would pay for itself, plus we'd have some extra, if that makes sense. And then the other thing I want to mention also is our leasing agreements. And so I've been working on them very clearly, and talking with legal, and this is all more today. This is Friday, this was a little bit on Thursday. I'm going to do even more tomorrow, have more discussions with them. It's been pretty busy to get a hold of these people here. But our employee housing license agreement, I would like to update our license agreement big time with the district. I have no idea, I haven't talked to anybody historically when the last time we'd had these license agreements, but they need to be updated. And this organization, the property management, works with 2 legal firms, and they keep on track, I think every March, April, I think, I could be wrong with that, of the legal rules that come through within the housing market. So therefore, we will have the most up-to-date information. So I've been working with a specific individual here in our legal, going through contract and rewriting a whole bunch of stuff here. And I will forward this to you when we're done, so every board member can see what this will look like here. And I do want to title them, as we should be, as I'm learning more and more about this role, the Employee Temporary Housing License Agreement. And what I'd like to do is, when I'm done with this, I do want to, again, if we move forward with the property management company, they have a very extensive leasing contract as well. And I said, well, what if we already have ours and working very diligently on it to make sure that it represents the district's, means of what we're trying to do to keep these things protected for a major, housing for our staff. Do we need to merge those 2 documents? And so we would work together, our district and legal with their people as well, so we can merge the 2 documents together. Let's see, their inspections, they call them surveys, as I said before. They provide the district with a full report from our property management manager, so we'd be assigned a manager who would work with us on that. And so twice a year, we see what's going on, not what's going on, but in terms of the facility, what's taking place in the facility, so it's keeping things in good shape. So these are great assets for us, and they're maintained and here for a long time. So that's another one. I also talked a little bit, because I, a little uncomfortable with our contract insurance, or contract currently it says that they do not have renters insurance. And I brought that up also with our individual there at the property management. She said, oh boy, no, everyone would need to have renters insurance. So that is something also that obviously, when this all goes through, it's averaging, I'm looking at about 12 to 27 a month, depending on your.
Do they supply the renter's insurance, or would you have to go out?
They'd have to go out.
Okay, but they would be the ones that would keep track of it.
Correct. What else did I put here? Yes, they would. Yeah, they would.
Okay.
Another one that I also, again, district property, students on property. I mean, idea is that we need to keep everyone vetted that's on here. Background checks for all tenants, not just the employees of the district, but all tenants will take place. The organization, property management, also does a credit, criminal. I mean, it's already done, but they do credit, criminal, and mortgage renting history done through the property management company. If they determine that somebody's coming on board, they might have poor credit or something. It's between the property management and the district, whether or not we want to have conversations to still make way for those individuals, especially if they're employed with us. We're not really worried about them paying, because it comes deducts out of their payroll, but is that something that we want to agree? And whatever we come to agreement, though, obviously I understand this, what we do for one tenant, you must do for all. So that's the equity aspect of it. I said they also take care of all legal compliance issues. They have 2 different firms. And then the last thing she said is, they've gone through these things before. She said it's a bit bumpy at first for some of the tenants as they will want to continue to connect with the district about some of these things, but really the district just needs to make sure we're on top of it. We're forwarding that information over, that they need to reach out to the property management company. In the property management company's previous experience, sometimes tenants will not like the answer that they receive from the company, and then they go back to the owners for a different answer. But again, I put here, we cannot do that if we move forward because we would have contracted with the property management organization. So if somebody said, the company says, no, you have to pay for clogging the toilet with things you put down there that you put down there, and that tenant comes to the district and says, hey, this is clogged, we've got stuff in there. Our district can't say, okay, we'll be up there in 30 minutes, and we'll pay for it, we'll bring a plumber out, we'll pay for all that stuff.
Just like if you don't like the answer mom gives you, you go to dad.
And so I said, well, that's partially why, another aspect of why we're doing this is again to protect the district, to make sure fund-wise, we're utilizing that.
Corey, I do have another question.
Mhm.
Okay, somebody flushes something down the toilet. They clog the whole thing up. It's the renter's responsibility. What if they say, I'm not doing it, you guys can take care of it? And we end up having to take legal action. Does the property management company handle the legal action, or is that up to us again?
Yes, I will, no, they handle the legal
They
action.
will handle the legal
Yeah.
action.
There's an example for, let's say, this is one that we talked about, say there's no smoking in the units, and someone thinks that, in order to get away with that, they take all the batteries out of these smoke detectors. And then they're still smoking. So that is, when they do their inspection, that's why they want more than once a year. They want to go in twice a year. So when they go in, if there's something there, that's a no, what you call it? That is I can't remember the exact verbiage, but that's a big no-no. No, it's a big safety issue. No, you are going to be fined, and that's going to go into however, the business department works with the organization, that it's going to be a fine. And I don't know if that would be a fine situation. And again, but if they're not going to pay it, it definitely goes to legal.
Okay, but they would be the ones that would take care of it, not up to us.
Correct.
Does this company have experience dealing with the specific issues that come up with being school district property? And
I didn't answer that specific question, but at least there were conversation, we talked for a good almost 50 minutes here. I didn't sense at all that this was uncommon for her. She felt very confident, very comfortable about this. And she knew all the legal rules and laws and whatnot. I literally had a conversation with our legal just a day or two prior, and she was just spouting it out very quickly. I can ask that question as well, but I didn't get the sense at all that that was a problem. I also said, you do know where we're located, just want to make sure.
And she said, yes?
Well, she said they actually manage a lot of properties out here in Jewel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So I didn't know that. But,
I do.
Pretty sure this is the same outfit that I used when I was overseas in Israel, and I rented my house out.
You think this organization?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they did a pretty good job.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I mean, I will say, at least with the amount of communication I've had so far, they're on top of the responses. They want our business, which is what I want to hear. And then the phone calls, I mean, I can talk for as many questions as they want. They would answer everything.
So do you actually get a person when you call, or do you have to go through a stupid tree and do 10 different?
No trees and no.
Well, they're in Gerhard, I think, so they're not too far away.
No, they're not. No, I've had no issues at all. So that's my report on that.
When do you want to answer?
Whatever you want, 'cause
Do you need just a consensus, or do you need
I just need a consensus. I don't
I'd
believe
say
this
go
is,
for
I
it,
don't believe
yeah.
this is
I would move forward with that. Yep. Just,
I'm in agreement with moving forward. I'd like to find a schedule that we could do for the increases that maybe make sense to the tenants, if it's 5% for the next 3 years, so it's not all 10% and then.
that's the other important thing, is it needs to be sustainable. That's it, not.
Yeah.
Well, and also, you make a good point. You also think about with the, renter's insurance. I mean, it is a deal. I mean, they're getting it. It is a benefit. I mean, definitely a benefit from the district perspective. But with the renter's insurance, I mean, that is an expense also. We're talking, it depends what it is, a couple $100 or so a year. And then if we do end up raising the cost, he'll pay for this as well. What I guess for me, my thing that I want to find out is, do we raise it 10% off what it currently is, what we charge, or can we just base it off the 10% of the, what we ever call it, the market value rent? But then put a schedule together to see what that would look like.
yeah, so my question is, the current rent, as I understand it, it is below market.
It is. It
Right,
definitely
which
is.
is-
yes.
right.
Yep.
But even if we raise it the 10% of the actual market, that they're still gonna be below.
Oh, it's still well below.
Okay.
Oh, it's still well below. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So Ryan, if you don't mind me asking, what did you rent your 3-bedroom house for? When you guys were gone?
Dollar amount?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's 2,400 a month.
And we're about 12.
Yeah.
For a 3
I mean, I don't want us to get to the point where, it needs to be an incentive
Oh,
to
no.
stay here, but
No.
at the same time, we need to be at least able to
Yeah.
get this
And I
taken
don't
care of and offset our costs.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't want to do some great big huge amount that they're going, well, we can't,
I mean, if we could phase something into a few
Yeah.
years or a 5-year
Mhm.
period where it gets us to where we need to be, and then we have a little bit of a, say we have an inflation cost
Mhm.
associated to the years afterwards,
Or-
it just keeps us.
New people, they aren't locked in and
Well,
expecting
and that's-
anything. They could go all right up.
Right, so new people, you can say that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And I don't know when the last time the district's actually changed the cost, but I will say definitely the world has changed financially. The district has not adjusted accordingly.
I say we need to move. It's good.
Mhm.
Good work.
yeah, I do too.
Well,
We're
for a
probably
world,
learning a lot
for a
more.
world that I don't know about, I'm intrigued by it all. I'm sure.
So now you want to stay in it?
No.
Okay, new business, 8.1. We have our 2025-2026 budget adoption. Anybody would gladly like to read that piece of paper they have there?
Not moving this.
Brian's got it.
Mr. Ryan can read it.
Just start at the top and you go from word
All
for
right,
word.
be it resolved, am I on the right one?
Yes.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Jewel School District hereby adopts the budget for the fiscal year 2025 and 2026 in the total of $31,875,285, now on file at the administrative office located at 83874 Highway 103, Seaside, Oregon 97138. Making appropriations. Be it resolved that the amounts shown below are hereby appropriated for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 for the following purposes. General fund, instruction, $3,133,125, $133,125. Support services, $3,567,342. Community services, $12,000. Transfers, $4,015,321. Contingency of $80,000. Total general fund, $10,807,789. And unappropriated funds, $200,000. Special revenue funds, instruction, $751,358. Support services, $357,090. Community services, $445,287. Total special revenue funds, $1,553,735. Investment fund, support services,
No.
nothing. Transfers, $7,224,393. Contingency, nothing. Total investment fund of $7,224,393. And unappropriated funds of $9,432,293. Capital construction fund, support services, nothing. Facilities, $2,657,075. Total capital construction fund, $2,657,075, and no unappropriated funds. Total appropriations, all funds, $22,242,992. Total unappropriated amounts, $9,633,992. $32,293. Total adopted budget, $31,875,285. Unappropriated amounts included for reconciliation only. They are not included in total appropriations. Imposing the tax, be it resolved that the following ad valorem property taxes are hereby imposed upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district for the tax year 2025 and 2026. One, at the rate of $3.76 per $1,000 of assessed value for permanent rate of tax. Categorizing the tax, be it resolved that the taxes imposed are hereby categorized for the purposes of Article 6, Section 11B as subject to the education limitation, permanent rate tax of $3.76.9 per thousand. The above resolution statements were approved and declared adopted on the 16th day of June 2025.
Good job. Do we have a second?
One second.
Rick DeBruce seconds. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carries. 9.2, Senate Bill 732.
All right, Senate Bill 732, this is the District Equity Committee. And I'm just gonna read some notes. I give you guys a one-pager sheet from Oregon Department of Education about that. And Senate Bill 732 requires the establishment of a District Equity Committee, acronym would be DEC, in each school district statewide to advise the school board and district superintendent of impacts on educational equity, both positive and negative, as it relates to policies and practices within the given district. So OD is requiring all district superintendents to be in charge of a hiring process for this committee. And so focus, I'm reading as my, work at ODE. Let me rephrase it here. Got this document here. So this is a 30-page document that they put out on the whole aspect of Senate Bill 732. Questions that will be asked around equity from this committee will be: who does the decision affect most positively, negatively? Does the decision worsen existing disparities in the district? What are the unintended consequences? Does the decision advance opportunities for those who are often underserved, and are those affected included in the process of who's at the table? So it is my responsibility by law to create a committee that's going to be 5 to 8 people focused on the underserved members of our community and our student body. And so I want to make sure committee must have some representation. It must include students, parents, staff, administration, and school board, as well as community partners. And it could be a mixture of those. The committee must have representation of some, but not all, of the following people. And this is what OD is requiring here. People of color, tribal representation, English as second language learners, people with disabilities, the LGBTQ2SIA, people navigating poverty, people who are unhoused, women and girls, and other positive community contributors. And again, the work of the DEC will be focused on the equitable implementation of dual school district strategic plan. The DEC will review strategies and progress toward accomplishing the goals identified in the plan as district focused areas. And then the DEC will share recommendations and accomplishments with the board of directors about the progress towards equitable implementation and needs or corrective steps to ensure equitable implementation of the strategic plan objectives. And these will be monthly meetings that this organization will be working through. And so I am being directed by all superintendents in the state of Oregon. Larger districts already have this embedded. I brought this up to the district back when it was a requirement for the larger school districts about 1.5 years ago, and now it's the small districts' time to jump on board with this. The state of Oregon, and so I will be responsible for setting up an application process and also vetting individuals to go through this. It's a lot. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot to put on superintendent's plates. We are also able to reach out to existing organizations that might be able to help through that. Again, it's a little challenging in our environment because we're so rural, so small that am I going to be tasking staff with components that are on top of their already current existing jobs here as well. So, so this is going to be a little bit of a challenge to find members. I keep thinking about our budget committee. It's a challenge to get budget committees members, but I will be putting some feelers out there. I will talk to specific individuals in the staff as well. And then this will be someone who will be reporting to the board and the superintendent about our equitable practices around policies and anything that takes place in terms of decision-making processes that might have an impact on the underserved in our community. It is also a requirement by one member of the district equity committee to also be on the budget committee so they can give their recommendations for how any disparities or things that are going well because of the equity work that we can budget for the future within our budgeting, so it's not missed. So that is my report on the DEC.
So our one budget committee member gets actually nominated?
No.
I'm asking a question. I'm not volunteering.
Well, your head was up.
I'm asking a question. I thought I heard you say you have to hire someone for part of this, to run this?
It shouldn't say hire, it's bring
Oh.
somebody on board, so I can utilize portions of the ESD to help us through this process. I can utilize some existing things that we have in the district, like I'm thinking our MTSS program. We have a lot of equity work that goes there through behaviors and whatnot. I mean, that's already built in a little bit. But again, this is a time commitment.
Is there compensation involved at some level? Of using current staff in this capacity at part of their hours?
And they did not talk about that in here. What I'm understanding, this was volunteer work. But I also thought about that process as well, which I need to reach out to Odie to find out. Because if we're asking staff to take part in something like this, this is beyond their contract expectations.
Right.
That's what I was gonna say. This is
Required to
volunteer.
I know.
How can they
It is-
require us to do this?
So they are.
Well,
I guarantee
they love to do
And what
it.
if we can't get a committee together?
Well,
What are the consequences?
that's the question I'll have to ask Odie when we get on that road.
And some of the terms being used
Mhm.
makes me question, will this conflict with federal regulations that are currently in place about DEI?
Possibly, very much. could.
Okay, so we have to be like, can we contact legal people to guide us with?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
reach out to our legal counsel about this, and I can also reach out to, as you're talking about that, the gentleman, Dan Goldman, the superintendent of the ESD as well. He does work with a lot of, legal rules and laws as well, and he's worked with the big districts through this, so I have not picked his brain specifically for our district.
I understand that, as a state educational entity, we're obligated to follow Oregon state policy, but we're also walking a tightrope with other things. So I feel like this is really treacherous ground.
It is, well, there's a component here, I'm not sugarcoating anything. There's a moment here towards the back of this that talks about, it's vital to plan for safety and well-being for DEC members, because you can get into some interesting conversations.
Sure.
And I know in bigger districts, I can see that. So when I read that, there's gonna be some pretty serious conversations taking place, that they talk about the safety for members of that committee.
So,
I'd recommend talking to Dan first before we
Yeah.
go legal, and then we could get it.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
definitely so. I wanted not to propose it, but share the information, because that is something that's,
and we have to have this in
Yes.
place for next school year?
yes.
Okay.
Having the summer months here to go through some things in September.
5 people, one on, for sure on the budget.
Well, they don't advise 5, they think
Oh.
we can't have as few as 5, so you can run it, but they advise no fewer than 8.
I thought I heard 8.
Yeah, they have as much up to 13, but that's for, I'm sure, the bigger districts.
And they meet monthly.
And, yes,
So they
and
report to the board monthly as well?
it's not a requirement to report to the board, but if they have, it's recommended to report to the board. Recommended that in the agenda, there's a spot for that every time.
Thank you. Interesting.
Okay, 10.0 superintendent report, US advisory board.
It's done talking, I'm sorry.
So you have more on that?
No, I thought I was done talking.
No, you got the whole next.
All right, okay, after you. Okay, program study advisory board application submission. So we have completed identifying the advisory committee members for the program of study that we've been working on so diligently for quite some time in the last couple months here. And so next Monday at 9 a.m. we will be meeting here in the Jewel School Library with the entire advisory team. And we're gonna go through, I don't know if I put it away or not. Here it is. Just got this to Mary Jackson. This is our meeting agenda already. So we're gonna go into the welcomes, introductions, overview of the attendees and the meeting objectives of why we're here. We're gonna do the purpose of the meeting. I won't go through every ounce of it. Review of the program of study materials and applications that Mary Jackson and myself did together at the Mertz campus about a month ago. And then outline the year one course offerings, which I already built into the application. But we're gonna discuss introduction to agriculture for high school, Ag 12 capstone senior level course, horticulture and culinary for middle school, and gardening and ag literacy. Since there's a big push for literacy, obviously, in Oregon for grades K through 6. And then we're gonna talk about the advisory committee commitment, 2 meetings a year. And a few other things about the committee members themselves and the next steps in Q&A. And if that all goes well, then signatures are gonna take place on that day also. And then we'll submit that to the Oregon Department of Education. And the gentleman who's overseeing that gotten very positive by it so far. I'm hoping we'll go ahead and approve this at that point. Then I will be putting a job posting out there to create a position for the ag program for the district at that point. And hopefully hiring sometime late July or early August.
Oh, exciting.
And is that position a permanent position or is it on grant
It,
funds that are renewed each year?
it's a combination of a number of different funds, but in my viewpoint, this would be, I mean, my position when I first started the music program was definitely a granted position, and it was there for about a year or two. I think the funding for this, in my mind, will still be coming out of certain areas for a while, but pending a success, which I don't see anything other than a success coming out of this. This would be, in my mind, a permanent.
Well, I was just concerned that if we hire somebody and the program is wonderful and it's on a grant fund, the grant goes away and we're devastated, we have no money to fund this program and the person's,
Yeah,
and I don't want to see that happen.
from what I'm reading and talking with other superintendents, the student investment account, and I mean, I'm assuming that's where we have pulled it out of the student investment account. I believe, I could be wrong, Tammy.
For that position, I think we did general fund.
Okay, all right. Either way, in my mind, just from what I've been seeing so far, I don't see this. We're not. If it were to come out of grant funds, we would find a way to make it
Good
work.
fun, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm not
so
worried about
it's a
that.
really permanent position.
Yeah,
And I think we have
that's-
money we have some money allocated for different positions out of SIA, which we could.
Shift around. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm not concerned about that at all.
Well, you're not the one applying for the grant.
No, no.
The other person.
You want to go dig in the dirt?
I used to do that. That's how I did my college.
10.2.
Let's see. Oh, attendance promotion. So I provided an article. If anybody in the audience wants one, I do have a couple extra copies here as well. So, yeah, I know we've talked about attendance before, and I forget her last name. A nice gal named Tracy came out from the ESD, and she's a reporting, one of the reporting directors for the organization at the ESD. And so they sent out a monthly newsletter to all the schools within their service region, which is quite a bit. And part of the reason she came out here, and she asked before obviously kind of come out, is because superintendents across the state of Oregon are seeing, let me see if it's on here, are seeing, well, the line didn't show up here. It's online when you go to the article. The percentage that Jewel School District has from 2022-23 school year to 23-24 just is below the state average and then just skyrockets way past everybody. And so they came out here with the understanding of trying to find out what are we doing? Because other superintendents want to know what is the Jewel School District doing to increase their attendance so high. And so I asked a student and a couple families, and they also happened to come out the same day we had our academic awards and the little movie film thing for the elementary program, Terry Byer in auditorium. and came out, they did a full article. They're here for about 3 hours, taking photographs and talking. And I didn't really express too much in terms of it's the data that we have that we're getting coming in. That's the number one reason. And so we're still working our attendance right now. And I really do believe we're going to continue to see it increase even more, that we're not happy with where it's at. But we talked about what are potentially the changes. And we really talked about the culture shift that we're making in the district. I mean, that just time and time again. And you can see some of the photographs in there. I won't go over the whole article, but so the climate culture survey that I proposed, or not proposed, but shared with you a couple months ago, to the work that we're doing in terms of common place expectations for behaviors across the district, to the little carrots that we dangled over the kids, the little mini celebrations that we need to do way more of as we continue to build next year. We built something in the schedule, so we've got a lot of time to make that happen, that we celebrate our kids and celebrate the success. And then having a student here who talks about her attendance in the first couple of years of her high school career to, oh my goodness, wow. And so she's expressing what that was like, to having a district that when families come in and want to talk about these things, instead of this, we actually do this. We actually hold the hands, and we actually have a empathetic ear and listen to what's going on, and not judge right away. My goodness gracious, everybody has a story. And so building that partnership, and then realizing how that works amongst staff, amongst kids, amongst community, and amongst how we communicate to the community. We really believe that culture change is number one reason why this is starting to shift a little bit here. And I still feel, I've told Mr. Scott here that we're still working on it. This is a decades-long project. It's just going to continue until it settles in where it's at. And I can still feel the shift. Even our last PD that we had of the year, I'm going to say it out loud, Galen Emanuel. I don't know if you know who the gentleman is, but came out and did an incredible PD with the staff that was very well rated by our staff, who greatly appreciated it, about how we communicate with each other in the district. And so we're going to be working with him next year to set goals and how we, again, communicate effectively, even during, you laugh if you know what I'm talking about, the donut moments. So some of those challenging conversations where we're all nice people, we are, that we don't want to have conflict, but sometimes sometimes the conflict's happening because we're so nice, and we go and we vet with other people, we say things, and we get pretty nasty sometimes about it, versus we have those conversations with our own people that we work with. So combine that with collaborative problem solving in August with our staff and working with our students of how to settle their own differences with each other and give them the skills and tools of how to communicate with one another and with adults. It's another further push towards culture change for our kids and our staff and community. These are all things we're working towards, that this is a partnership for all. I referenced that triangle thing. I like saying that thing. I referenced the triangle again: kid, community, parents, shelter, and support. How important that is. And you're looking at a mom figure on here that is fully supportive of their child and their growth. So for me, this is another wonderful moment to share. I didn't put it on here. I know Martha also wrote an article that made the Daily Historian also. So that's out there as well.
I was gonna be ruined.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. So I mean, there's one more thing as well. I can't remember what it was, but I was going to mention, but there's a lot of positives going through right now for the district, and it's good to see.
Good. Yeah, that was a great article, man. That's fine. 10.3, July board meeting.
So I know we had early July board meetings before. My family and I, usually traditional time, and I know staff as well, principal as well, will not be here until the latter part of July. He and I will be still communicating, but vacation time for principal is usually July. I know a good chunk of our staff are definitely out. And I was planning on hopefully taking vacation around the 13th through the 25th, which is what I've done the last 3 years or so, roughly that time frame. So I propose, I don't know if you're open to that, to have an earlier July board meeting. And I don't know if it needs to be on a Monday
It's
or
really on the board calendar.
is it on there.
That's July 1st, a Tuesday?
So the first is a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's the 1st. It's on the
Okay.
budget calendar.
Okay.
Oh, nothing.
If it doesn't
I guess I
work,
was
July
thinking the
1st.
7th.
Yes, July 1st is a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
There will not be any financials on that day. There's no way I can defend it. So that will be wrong.
I think we can survive 1 month.
Look.
That's what I'd rather do.
It should be.
It's probably fine for me.
okay.
I
It's
just,
on the calendar for that board. It's on the back page of the first calendar.
Right off that count of that.
I would probably have to attend virtually. I'm not off in Hillsborough until about 5:30.
Okay. I don't see a lot going through on my end.
Okay.
I mean, I can give you policies if you want some policies, or if you want me to wait till August to get those out. Oh, okay, I'll wait till August, okay.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know, I kind of getting the policies done when there's not a lot of other stuff is kind of okay with me.
Well, do a few, but don't overload.
If that day doesn't work, I mean,
I
It
think
works,
fine
it
for
works
me.
for, I mean,
I'm
I'm
good with
fine
that.
with it. It's up to you guys.
if worst case scenario, maybe remote, but I mean, I don't think
It's in 2 weeks.
right.
It is, yeah, I'll definitely be remote, but I'm okay with it.
It's already on the calendar, so we don't have to take any action. 11.0, audience clarification. Okay, go ahead.
Can I ask a question about something?
Yeah, if it's something that we
Yeah,
discussed.
I was just, the property management company, and the changes that could bring, that's not something that can change everyone's current leases, though, right? But,
Change those.
so the housing right now, all of the current leases, a lot of the things that the property manager would do isn't part of those current leases.
I think it would be
So
new
I'm
leases.
it would be new, yeah, there'd be new leases
So when
coming
we
through.
have new leases created, that's when the property management can kind of do some of these.
Correct, yeah, and there'd be notification of that stuff, yeah, but when, again, as that moves forward, yes, that would be when they take over the aspect of it for the new leases, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that transition, I don't know the time frame at the current moment, but yeah.
Right.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's just clarifying.
12.0, Board of Directors time. Director Drew.
Well, we had a wonderful article in the paper about our agricultural program. And I brought it. I was so surprised when I picked up the page that said, whoa, Joel.
Right there.
And I read it was a nice article. And all I can say is Martha has done a wonderful job with these kids and with the program, and just keep it going, 100%. I love it. So I've read it. If anybody would like to have it, they can have it. If not, I'll take it back home for recycling. Mr. Scott, I love the Swiss stuff that you did. I mean, it just opened our eyes up so much, so I just did that. I thought we were gonna have seniors tell us their trap.
We were trying to get them together, but most of them are working
gone,
right now, or they're in classes right now, or doing a number of other things, so none of them could be here tonight. We are trying to put something together, but it's gonna be a.
But you all survived, you're all home, have a good time.
They had a blast. I think the consensus was that their favorite thing was the World War II Museum. It was pretty phenomenal. So if you ever go to New Orleans, definitely recommend it. Don't eat at their restaurant, but go to the museum. The restaurant was pretty disappointing. And then the swamp pool tour was pretty awesome too. One of the seniors, Trinity, she actually got to feed a raccoon while they were on the boat. So that was pretty
Well, she'll just come to my house and she can be.
She was pretty excited about
They
it.
save some money.
Does anybody want to go back? I mean, was it spectacular
I
enough that
think
they
a couple of them were pretty sold on going back. I know by the end, Trinity, she was like, I'm gonna move here. And we're like, okay, Trinity. So they had fun. It was good.
Maybe you'll look at a few other places first before you pull this.
That's all I got. So I'm good. Thank you.
No, I don't have much. I think it was a great article in the paper, so. Like always, I do, the Swiss data is great to have. I think it allows us to hopefully pinpoint more times where we need to be. I mean, I can't imagine how we could do much more in the classroom when we have teachers and aides and to eliminate more of that behavior stuff. But school buses are always gonna be a problem. I don't know how we're, but I feel like they're way better than they were. So that's definitely huge. So. That's all I got. Director Dietrich.
Yeah, the tailgate on what you said, that's exactly what I was looking for when I asked that last week, or last month, excuse me, about, just the details of where we can concentrate our efforts moving forward and where we can improve. That Swiss data really puts it all into perspective, right? So thank you for doing that. End of the year celebration, I got good feedback from my daughter Junie. She really loves that. So I just want you guys to know that you did a great job with that. You really hit a home run with that. So anytime I can hear the feedback at home, you guys deserve that feedback too. So good job. But that's all I got.
Director Songer.
Thank you. Principal Scott, I just want to thank you for your time with us. It's been really satisfying to see the engagement you have and the obvious investment of your own personal efforts into these kids. I appreciate the detail in the Swiss data. I'm not someone who's in the school. I don't have kids in the school. It still gave me a great picture of what's going on, at least at that, for that specific type of stuff. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. And I kind of wish you could help hang out a little bit with the new person. I want to like rub off a little. But no, and the fact that they made it to that year-end party and they had a good time, that really speaks volumes. And it's gonna, now for these kids every year, they're gonna be like, oh, let's do it again. That's gonna be valuable. So thank you very much. And just to the board, we got a lot to think about with things that are coming down the road, but it's exciting to see that we're about to put in our application for our program of study for the ag program. I'm super excited about that. So thank you, Corey, for all your work.
I also want to mention it's Mr. Scott's birthday today.
Oh,
Happy birthday. If I could say, I told the staff this, but this has been the greatest time in my career. And I don't say that lightly. This has been such a great thing to come back and to see what first day I was here, I said, I know what Jewel is about. That's true, but it's so much deeper than that. The caring and the things that are coming up that Corey is working with the MTSS on individual students, the things that we want to have for our kids. It's amazing, and it's hard to leave. I feel like at some point, like I'm abandoning some people, but it's just going to go up from here. And I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you, Mike. Well, you're not too far away, so. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe you can get on the sub list.
Okay, 13.0 items for future meetings is going to be our JHCCF headlights policy.
Just keep coming around.
Yeah, can't get rid of that one, can we?
it's kind of their nature, isn't it?
Okay, if we're all good, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
All motion to adjourn.
First motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Drew, second, all in favor?
Right.
Aye. All opposed? June 16th at 7:19. It's got to be a record.
Pretty good.
I might have forgot the date at the beginning, so forget it, but yeah.